Good morning. Welcome. Running a few minutes behind this morning. It's just been one of those days. Yeah, it happens. Do you ever just wake up and the shit hits the fan pretty much the moment you get out of bed? That's how my day is going a little bit today. But here we are. We made it. Okay. How's everybody doing? Welcome. My name is Angela. I'm a front-end developer and software engineer in St. Paul, Minnesota. On this channel, we just do vanilla HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. We practice, we have fun, we build stuff. Ooh, the chat is busy this morning. I'm not used to that. It's usually just me and Malik. Malik is Go Elmo. He is our mod in the chat. He is amazing. He keeps an eye on everybody. He keeps an eye on me. He keeps an eye on you. He keeps an eye on all of us. Loki is here. Shouldn't this have started? Yes, it should have started by now. Clash of Clans is here. Yeah, Osloy is also here. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Happy to have you. And I'm super excited about the next project that I have picked for us to work on. So let me share my screen and show you what I got going on. Yes, here's the thing. I am leaning you all know that I use ChatGPT. I have no fear of AI. AI doesn't scare me. I question what AI is capable of, but I have no fear of it. I don't mind using it. I think it gets stuff wrong, right? But I am starting to, in the last couple of months, I think it's clear that I'm using it differently. I'm using it to give me things to work on, to give me requirements, give me data, teach me, help me learn, not just give me the answers. And I think the 30 days of vanilla JavaScript project it worked really well for us. I think it just, can you hear that? I have the windows open. It's really loud. I have to go, hang on, I gotta go close the windows. God damn it. So annoying. You know, I would never get upset or angry at the people outside just doing their jobs, but man, they're loud sometimes. So, anyways, okay, where was I? Oh, yes, the 30 Days of Vanilla JavaScript project is really where I figured out a new way to use ChatGPT to not just give me the answers, but to really help me learn and to teach, right? And what have I been saying for years, my entire career and my entire time on YouTube so far? I need to get better at JavaScript. And I finally found a way to use ChatGPT to help me learn and to teach me how to do it by giving me these practice challenges, these practice problems. And it really changed it changed everything, the trajectory of my career, how I feel about being a developer in so many ways. Because we not only got through these 30 days and completed these challenges, I just learned so much, but I've been able to continue now. I'm sure that you've noticed that I'm posting every single day. I'm doing practice JavaScript, I'm refactoring JavaScript, I'm just doing so much more with JavaScript, and I could not be happier. It's so satisfying. It's the thing that I absolutely needed to do to really round out this channel and complete what it is that I'm doing on this channel and for myself as a developer. So with that being said, I was like, okay, I feel like there's more opportunities here, not to do like another 30 days of vanilla JavaScript, but to really like lean into this whole give me requirements and give me data, because it is such a good way to learn. And then it takes all the pressure off of me to think of things. So it's like a partnership. It's really cool, the ideas that I have and the things that I'm coming up with. So here's what I want to do, and this is going to be something that we kind of work on through the rest of 2026. So this isn't going to be one little neat and tidy project. This is going to be something that we work on. We work on a piece of it. We go work on a landing page. We come back and we build out more pieces of it. So I found this yesterday on ThemeForest because I knew that I wanted to do a dashboard type build. I love working with data, cleaning up data, transforming data, and then of course doing the transform and that render step. So I was like, I really want to work on like a dashboard, but I don't really know what to do. So I found this dashboard design. This is kind of like the home page. And there are lots of other designs, lots of other pieces to this. And we are not going to build it out exactly like this specifically. We are going to work on building out this layout, and we are mostly going to use the UI elements here as inspiration. So I uploaded this image to ChatGPT, and I was like, hey, look at this detailed mock-up. I'm not planning to build this entire UI on stream, but I love the layout and overall design. Here's my plan. I want to start building more dashboard type projects, both on stream and in my practice JavaScript videos. I'm going to refer to this design template to build the rendered UIs. So it's well, I originally started out saying purely inspiration. That said, can you please help me brainstorm JSON and data and give me some direction for what I can build? So ChatGPT sort of listed out the different ideas, the different things that we could do to sort of turn this into a theme with data and just how to build it out. And gave me examples of different types of JSON, what we could do, like matching up the activity feed to what it saw in the UI. So then this is when I started to think like, okay, actually, we could probably actually come up with a theme, start building out parts of it, pull other mock-ups from the set to build inner pages, work on a chunk for a few days, maybe a week or two, go off and build a landing page, come back and work on it again. You know what I mean? So I don't want this to turn into like a months-long project. I want it to be where we build like little pieces at a time and we come back. So this is the idea. And we're going to start today building like this structure, kind of getting this layout in place and getting the infrastructure set up. And hopefully my plan for the next couple of weeks is that I do have some data and we do start to initially render some of the transform data as part of our dashboard, but that we will build out these pages throughout the rest of the year. Does that make sense? I think this makes sense. It makes sense to me. So I have a name for it, and it's called UI Snacks, which I think is adorable. This is actually a domain name that I own, ui-snacks.com. I bought this last year. I had a different idea for this, but it never really, I kind of didn't follow through on it. It didn't really pan out the way I thought it was. So it's just sort of been sitting there. And I thought this would be perfect. We could call this uisnacks.com. And this could just be like fun UI elements, right? Just building a dashboard, building these elements, building a task manager, an invoice, a task tracker, just little fun UI elements, right? Themed. So we're going to do it as a theme. So it's going to be called uisnacks.com, but it's the the kind of the dashboard theme itself is going to be freelancer ops dashboard. So it's going to be very freelancer oriented, like tracking projects, tracking clients, tracking invoices, tasks, activity reports, settings, things like that. And I have this data, I have some starting data set up. So, and ChatGPT will give us data, tell us how we need to transform the data, what the data is intended for. We'll refer back to our UI here and we'll build out some of these elements. And again, I may build these out exactly as they're pictured, or I may use this as inspiration. I want it to be structured but flexible is the plan. So my plan is to maybe spend the next 2 weeks or so working on the first part of this, getting the initial build done, the structure in place, building out some of the dashboard UI elements with data. Then we'll go ahead and do a deployment and we'll set up a fresh, well, I don't know if I'll do a fresh LAMP stack. I'm honestly, maybe we'll do another virtual host, but we'll get uisnacks.com deployed, right? We'll get all of that set up. So every time we finish a new section, we can do the deployment and we have that living online. And then we're just going to work on this on and off throughout the rest of the year. We're going to just turn these into like fun little mini projects. It's going to be very data driven because I'm just enjoying that part of JavaScript so much right now, working on data. So hopefully you like this. Hopefully you're into it. I'm into it. And Clash of Clans Legend is saying, hello, how are you? Caffeine Cowboy is here. It says, morning all, looks like I came in the start of something huge and impressive. Well, Caffeine Cowboy, I have to tell you, I think of you often because when we started the 30 days of vanilla JavaScript, you were like, I think you're going to be doing way more dynamic rendering, like data, JSON data. And I was like, no, no, no. No, no, no. I'm not going to be doing more of that. I'm going to be very selective about what I do. And of course, what has happened. That's exactly what I want to do. I still feel very strongly about my philosophy that I want like my landing pages and things like that to be mostly static. Well, everything is open source, but I really had this vision of the open source community, like wanting to fork my landing pages and use them in their own projects. I have no idea if anybody actually does that, but that is my idea of giving back to the open source community. And I do still feel strongly about making sure those things are static. And I'm just enjoying JavaScript so much right now. I'm loving working with data and I want to do more dashboard type builds. So we're going to be doing both because listen, I already have another blog layout ready to go after we do the first part of this. So like in 2 weeks, we're going to do another blog layout, which is going to look very much like a landing page. So I have a couple things lined up that I think are going to be fun and exciting. So I have, where's my mouse? So I have our GitHub repository set up and ready to go. I don't know if I have this linked down below yet. I'll go ahead and put that in the chat. And Loki is asking, what do you think of TypeScript? In what context? I don't understand the question. What do you, are you asking me if I'm for or against it? I guess I'm for it. I don't really use it. So this is an all vanilla channel. So you're never going to see me using TypeScript. You're not going to really see me using anything that requires Node. I think the only exception to that is going to be Express.js. Yeah, I could definitely see myself doing way more with Express because eventually I'm probably going to be setting up like MongoDB databases, right? The NoSQL databases, and then using Express so we can build our own endpoints. That feels like the next natural position for me to go in. For now, I am perfectly happy working with local JSON data, like just getting help from ChatGPT to work with local data, because I really don't want to deal with like API keys and the cores issues. I just don't have the emotional energy for any of that right now, but I think that's in the near future, Express. So you're not really going to see me you're not really going to see me doing anything with TypeScript. So Loki says, JS is kind of broken though. I don't blame the creator for it. How is JavaScript broken? I don't know what that, if, it's fine, obviously, that you have that opinion, but I don't know what you're talking about. The JavaScript is broken. I would need a little context for that. Caffeine Cowboy says, welcome to the API Addiction Data Nerd. Thank you. I'm so excited to be part of the club. And I do love it. I absolutely love it. So, uh, there's that. Loki, tell me what you mean. I don't know what you mean, my friend. Send me an email if you have thoughts or opinions on how JavaScript is broken. And maybe that's context that you have because you do use TypeScript. I look at TypeScript and I'm just like, what's the point? I don't know what the point is. So, but maybe I don't have enough experience to know the difference. I think JavaScript is amazing. I think the universe is built on JavaScript. That's my official position on JavaScript. So, if you have a different opinion, let me know. Obviously, but I also need some context. So, there's that. Okay, so I have our project set up and ready to go. And what I would like to do is just start building. And yeah, it's going to be all vanilla. Just like usual. Just like usual. One moment, please. And it might be good, real quick, it might be good to just kindly ask people to like the video if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new here. I'd love to have you. I'm here 4 days a week, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. I post content now every single day. I'm doing a little personal 100 videos in 100 days challenge, and that is in addition to streaming. And that's just because that was just a challenge that I wanted to do for myself. So it's very difficult to avoid me if you're subscribed. But yeah, helps the algorithm, helps get this pushed out to more people who might be interested in this type of thing. So there's that. Okay. So today we're just going to work on kind of building out this structure. So let's concentrate on like our sidebars. It might behoove us to put our sidebar items. And I'm not even saying that these are the exact items that we would be using, but it might be, I don't know. I don't want to get too crazy where everything is an, a JSON, local JSON that gets rendered. Let's just start working like I normally would, and we'll go from there. And if we want to put navigation items in a JSON file in the future, we can. I do like having these little icons, and I don't really want to put those in a JSON file, so this might all be better in as static data. So oh, so Loki is giving me examples of why JavaScript is broken. That's fair. So I believe you, Loki. I believe you. Okay, let's get started. So this is going to be called, what are we going to call it? I'm going to call it UI Next, into a header, class of header. Whoops. Main with a class of main. Footer with a class of footer. And I guess our header is, I think our header is literally this right here. I guess this whole thing could be the header, right? Since we have breadcrumbs here and like settings, support, or add, plus we have a search. This is obviously our navigation. I think we need to go to Ionicons and grab some icons. I think the navigation could come immediately after the header. And then this layout is going to be very similar to what we did on 30 Days of Vanilla JavaScript. So let's do nav with the class of navigation. And then let's go grab some Ionicons. So this is going to be kind of a boring setup day. We have a lot of icons that we need to get. So we need what do we need that? What's that? Like a cog? Or settings? Yeah, we'll do this. Sharp. Do outline. There we go. Projects. Snacks. New SVGs. Okay, and we need a bell. I guess that's like notifications. We need envelope. Or I guess it's just mail. We need a search icon. And we need user. We need this little guy here. And what other menu choices do they have? We'll do menu, this menu. All right, I think we need a little house, like home. We need, what is this? Euro? Currency? Although I don't use euros, so maybe for me it would be dollars. Money. US dollars. There we go. It's a fun little guessing game. We need a cart. We need arrows. We could also, I mean, we could use HTML entities for this, right? For these little arrows right here. Um, we'll try it. We'll see if we can use HTML entities for the arrows. What else do we need here? We already have a little cog support. So this is like headphones. We'll do these. Do plus. What is this? I guess we do need a carrot. We'll grab an arrow. Is that an arrow? So we'll do an up and down chevron. Can't hurt. So we have our plus sign, which is really like close, but we could do both. I mean, you could just rotate them, but or you could just get the actual thing. What is this? Like reload? I suppose I could also make. Oh, look at that. Here, we'll do this. Refresh. What's this? Reload. We'll do a little refresh. All right. We can make our own buttons. We can make our own little circles. Yeah, we can get another chevron. We'll do left and right chevrons. I do like that we have different icons for everything. That's a little more than I want to do right now. So I'll probably just pick one thing and put it in for everything. We can grab like a little. I'll pick one SVG and put it in for everything right now, but then at some point once we decide on what our final nav items are going to be, then we can go in and pick unique SVGs for all the navigation items. So I'm not going to worry about that now. I like this little squiggly line, but I think this is something that I would have to make myself. What else do we need here? This might be plenty good. These are all things that I can build with HTML and CSS. We could do like a little laptop. And then maybe like a chart. I kind of like all of these charts. Let's grab them. Okay. Maybe a check mark. Oh, yep, that's good. We got our little pie graph. Okay, I think this is pretty good for now. Also, what do we think about this color scheme? I like it. I like it. But I don't know if we really need to worry about that right now. I don't know if we need to worry about CSS and color schemes right now. Let's just get some HTML in here. And we're not going to build out a big, huge navigation to start with. We'll just make sure we have some sections. So, and I'm looking at the chat to see if there's a question for me, or I think people are just mostly talking amongst themselves. So LS 2022 says, I have a weird question. If computers understand programs and show results, then why don't people create programming languages completely easy? I actually don't understand how programs direct a computer. Yeah, that's a question I think that is a little bit beyond the scope of this stream. I would, those are great questions for ChatGPT or even Google, right? But Loki is attempting to answer this question and says, I think you need to understand better how languages are made, especially compiled, and those that output a direct binary executable. This is why we need the chat people. You guys are effing smart. It's not as easy as it looks. There are many parts in making a language. You have to make the parser lexer, which converts the code into tokens. Then there's also the semantic part you have to write. Then you have to map it to the computer instructions. Assembly is common. Lots of smart people. Lots of smart people in the chat. And Noah is here. Noah Perez says, will you fetch data or a local database? So I'm going to fetch local data. I'm not going to worry about fetching data from a database. I'm just going to have local data. Oh, and I forgot to put my JSON in there. Let me grab it. So I just don't want to deal with like CORS issues right now, API keys, things like that. So I'm just asking ChatGPT to give me data. I also want I really want the practice of cleaning up messy data, right? Normalizing strings, converting numbers to whatever, decimals, dollars, currency, cleaning up dates, grouping with reduce, mapping, things like that. So ChatGPT is amazing for that because it can just give me a lot of messy data, but it can structure it in a way that says, okay, you should be thinking about using sort, reduce, and map. Here's your data. Go. Here's what the results should look like. So, so that's what I'm doing for now because it's just easier, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so we have a ton of SVGs that we can use. So that's cool. So I think that, oops, I think that this should be the header. Well, what do I want to be the header? Maybe this is the nav. but I want this to be UI snacks, and I want this to be like freelancer dashboard. This to me implies that we have a menu item that controls this, and this flies out. But that doesn't mean that this has to be a part of the navigation. This can be part of the header. So maybe we want to break this up like we can say a div with a class of top header. And then we have up here, and then we have another div with these two items. So it's really like our navigation is always off canvas and always flies out. Yeah, I'm going to do that. So then we'll have div main header, and then our navigation will be in here. And then we need, so this is top header, main header, middle header, keep it semantic, right? Okay, so here's our top header. So we'll put our logo over here. And so how do we want to structure this? We know that this needs to be in its own container. And we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This needs to be, the fifth container needs to be a container. So it can have this drop down and it can have the search. So that's 5, and then we have 6, and then we have 7. And my UI pack does have drop-down UI elements for all of these things. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we'll start with, we'll say div.logo. This is going to be an H1, and we'll call this the primary heading. And this is going to be UI snacks. And then we have this little cog here. So we'll say div. We'll call this settings. Well, this is going to be very busy. Let's grab our SVG. It's going to be busy and a little bit fussy, but that's okay. I like it. I like fussy. So SVG is going to be aria hidden true. And then let's make sure that we have a span with a class of access hidden. That's our screen reader text, and we'll say settings. So we can keep this accessible. And then I think we would want this to be linkable back to our home page, right? So we'll add an anchor element. It's going to put in a hash for now. Okay. So here's our first little container. We can collapse this. Next we have, this is going to be menu. So we can't just do a button though, right? This actually has to be inside of a container. So we'll say div dash menu. Better just call it the menu button. I feel like this is the hover state for these. So let's call these header, what do we want to call these? Header items. I don't want to get this specific, so let's call these header items. We know that we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's do this. Head div, header, items, whoops, times 7. We know that in our first one is going to be the menu button. So this will be a button, which is a type button. And yes, I do put a type on all of my buttons. And we'll give this a class of button. And this will need an ARIA label. And we'll call this open menu. This will need to have an ARIA controls also, because this will control the menu. ARIA controls. So when we get to the menu, we have to make sure that we're accounting for this. So we'll just say main nav. And then our button is going to be the menu outline. And again, ARIA hidden true. And I always take stroke current color out of my SVGs. I personally think that I have a lot more control over my SVGs when I do that. ChatGPT called me out for that and told me I shouldn't be doing that, and I pushed back. I think that's wrong. I mean, I understand that if you are using color and you leave it as current color, then you don't need to do fill or stroke. I prefer fill or stroke. I think that's a better approach. It works for me. If it doesn't work for you, keep using it. But I always take that attribute out, and then I feel like I just personally have way more control. So there's that. So here's our button. It has an ARIA label, so it doesn't need specific screen reader text. So I think that this is fine. I'm going to change this to just header item. Okay, this feels like a good approach. What do we have here? This is notifications. So we'll do another button. Those are all going to be buttons, I think, right? So type equals button. We'll give this a class of button. We might be adding different classes. Probably we're going to want to call this like button icon, right? Since they all have SVGs. And then this is going to be, we're going to have a span. Let's make this a little bigger. So we have a span with a count. So let's grab our notification outline. And then we'll put in a span, and let's call this we'll call this notification count. We'll just put in a 9 for now. That will maybe be dynamic in the future. We'll see. Okay. So let's also give this a class of menu item, just so we have some uniqueness. And then this can have a class of notification item. Okay, next. What's next? Now we have our mail button, type equals button. And we'll give this a class of button icon. Here's our mail outline. Oops. And I think we'll need a span. And so we might want to say something like button count and notification count. I think that's going to make styling easier. So button count, notification count, button count, mail count, or message count. Message or mail? Message. I think that's a message, right? Message count. What is that? 3. Okay, what's next? So these are drop downs. We can definitely style drop downs. I'm not going to style drop downs right now. So right now, this is just purely going to be aesthetic, but this is going to be, I feel like this could just be one button. This doesn't need to be, I feel like this could just be one button, right? Yeah. Oh, and let's put an ARIA label here. ARIA label messages. Okay. So language, this will be language. So we'll do a button, the type of button. We'll give this a class of button icon. Yeah, it's still going to have an icon, right? It doesn't need an ARIA label because it's got text, and then we need our caret. So we need our chevron down. And this is ARIA hidden true. And I think that's that. Oh, and let's give this, so this is the notification. This is the messages icon. This is the language icon. Okay. Now we have search. I don't know what this mega is for. I'm kind of tempted to just make this search and leave this out. Because I don't know. Oh, it was a mega menu. That's what it was. Well, in the spirit of sticking to the UI, we'll keep it. So we're going to have a button and we're going to have a search form. So we're going to have two things here. So this will be mega mega container and search container. Header item, mega container, search container. Yeah, that makes sense. So first in our mega, this will be a div. Well, it can just be a button, right? So button with the type of button, and we'll just give it a class of button icon. I'm trying so hard to be consistent and thoughtful with these classes. It doesn't need an ARIA label. We'll just use, but we will say mega menu. And then we need our chevron down, which is right here. This is ARIA label true. There's a lot. The chat is busy today. I love it. People are just talking amongst themselves. I think that's so cool. So, okay. So here's our button. And then I think we can just do form for our search, right? So we'll say form with a class of form. But I think I will also add search form so I can target it if I need a little extra specificity, right? And then we want a label for search. And then we'll say search. I'm also going to give this a class of access hidden because there isn't a label in the UI. So we need to hide that with screen reader friendly CSS. And then we'll say input with the type of search. The name will be search and the ID will also be search. And then this will be hidden, which will make styling really easy. The form will be the parent container. So let's put in our SVG. Well, we just need a button, right? And then the type is equal to submit. Buttons by default submit anytime they're inside of a form element, unless you change the type, which is just why I'm in the habit of always putting a type on my buttons. So, and then we'll say class, say button icon. I think we do need to say ARIA label, submit, and then we need our search outline. ARIA hidden is true. Okay, so here's our search form. Here's our label, which will be hidden with screen reader friendly text. Here's our input. Our button will be absolutely positioned over top of the input, and the form will be positioned relative. So it's absolutely positioned relative to the parent container. That will work beautifully. And then these will be inside. You know, at a future date, we can add this mega menu, mega container. I'm not going to add it now, but we'll add the button. I think that's fine. And then this container will probably just be Flexbox. It'll just be Flexbox. So, or maybe, I don't know, maybe grid. I'm not really sure yet. We'll see. We'll see. So, okay, next container. This also has a UI element for what the user specific drop down settings are. I'm not going to build out that UI yet. I'm just going to put in the button for both of these items. I don't remember what this is supposed to be. This is navigation, but I don't remember specifically what the options are. So I need to organize the UI pack. I still haven't even looked at every single thing yet. I just found it yesterday. So this will be like the user profile. So we'll say user profile. And then we'll just make a button. And I think doing it this way is going to make it really easy to come back and add these things. So we'll say button icon. Yeah, I think this whole thing can just be one big button, right? Because we would want it to get keyboard focus. So it's a button with two SVGs. I don't think this needs an ARIA label. I think the name is enough. The username is enough. Okay, so we want a person outline first. What happened? There we go. And then our user is going to be Heidi. You know, I could put in a picture here. It doesn't have to be an SVG. Should we put in like a little picture? That would be kind of cute, right? Does that need to be inside a figure? I always put figure tags. Yeah, let's do a figure tag. And then let's put in an image. I don't have any images yet, so we'll just make something up here. We'll say images, Heidi.jpg. I'll make sure that I get a little image, and then we'll say Heidi Holden. Heidi is my dog. She's my Sheltie. Heidi Holden profile. And then we can put in a little chevron. Chevron down. And we'll say aria hidden true. And then our last item is another menu item. We'll put in the same icon. It's unclear to me what that controls yet, but it's part of the UI pack, so we'll deal with it when we get to it. Type equals button. Class is button icon. And we'll do an aria label, which is another menu. Another menu. And then we'll put in our menu outline. All right. Coming right along. How are we doing on time? We're only like an hour in. Let me see here if I have to check the chat and see if people are asking me questions or talking amongst themselves. Let's see here. I still don't have a better chat solution. So bear with me. Nope, nobody's talking to me, but it's fun to get caught up with the chat. So, all right. Well, if you have questions for me directly, you know how to find me, I guess, right? I'm going to carry on. One moment. Oops, wrong one. This one. I watch the Primogen every once in a while, and I really like his setup, his chat setup, but I haven't taken the time yet to figure out how to do that on my end. So, uh I have a massive to I just have just like nothing but things that I'm trying to get done, and I'm literally behind on my to-do list at all times. So, you do what you do when you can do it, I guess. Okay. So, here's like the next part of our header. What did I call this? Like the middle header? Yes, here's the middle header. So let's zoom out a little bit and see how we're doing. I think we're doing great, honestly. Oh, and then we'll do, I don't really have another name for this. I'll call this another menu. So I've got things here to keep styling consistent, but another way to target things individually. And then here's like our main header, and then this would be like the middle header right here. So for this, so we would have this on the left, and then 1, 2, 3 things on the right. These would be presumably like snapshots. And we do have our little bar graphs, our little icon that we downloaded. So we could put that in. My income. So we could, what would we call this? Site, site. Income, site, site. What is our data? Let's close some of these. So our stats, monthly revenue, active projects, open invoices, new leads. We also have an activity feed. We could do revenue, projects, invoices. So we could do revenue, projects, invoices. These would be like snapshots, and then we could do more detailed cards. So we need we need one container, and then these on the right need to be in their own container. So here's our middle header. So we'll say div site title. And what are we calling this? Freelancer Ops Dashboard. And is this like an H2? Kind of feels like an H2. I'm not sure. If it's an H2, can we just say site title H2? I think so. Let's just make this an H2. Whoops, freelancer ops dashboard. All right, and then this would be a div, and we'll call this the snapshot. Yeah, we'll call this a snapshot. And then each of these things are like a snapshot item. So we'll say div snapshot item, and we'll make 3 of those. So we'll do a span, and we'll call this the snapshot title, and that's income. And then it's currency, a number, and we're just gonna, I think we should just put in our little bar graph SVG. I don't think, we can target these little bars. We could definitely do that and turn them different colors and maybe even give them I'm just going to use the SVG for now. So we'll use our $sign, our currency symbol. Where is it? Did I not download the dollar sign? Home laptop logo USD. And we'll say aria hidden is true. And then we'll put our currency in a span. 6950. Sure, why not? 6950. We'll do proper dollars. And then we'll put in our bar SVG. Oops. And this is aria hidden true. Yeah, I think this works. I'm going to copy this. So here's income. And then what did I say I was going to do? So we'll do revenue projects invoices. Revenue projects invoices. And then for projects, we need our cart. Wow, dashboards are very fussy. There's a lot happening here. And then here's the arrows that I declined to download. Because I wanted to see if I could just use like HTML entities because they didn't have the arrows that I really wanted. So let's do like HTML, yeah, entities. kind of just want to do, well, they have a lot of stuff here. Should we just do this instead of an SVG? Maybe we should be trying to do more of this. Yeah, let's do this instead of an SVG and see how it looks. They don't always work, but sometimes they do. So here's for the revenue. I have a feeling that if we want this title to be on top, these things are going to need to be grouped. So these are going to need to be in a div. So div snapshot group. And then for styling, this will be a lot easier. And honestly, this should be a div because it's going to need to be block level. And then these things can all line up. I'll give these classes later if I need to. But yeah, this makes sense. This does need to be an SVG because I need that cart. So I'm going to turn this into a div because it will need to be block level. And then this will be snapshot group. So that'll go down here. And I can tell you right now, because I will always make my SVGs display block because they are easier to style. But you really do lose that flexibility of inline or inline block. But I don't like styling things that are inline or inline block. It's just very difficult. So snapshot group is going to be Flexbox. Yeah, it is. It's going to be Flexbox. It's just going to be easier. I'm not even going to try to mess with inline block because the spans are already display inline. Yes, I could leave the SVGs as display inline, but they're so difficult to size when you leave them as inline elements. You have to mess with the view box. I hate it. I can't stand it. Yeah, so this works. Okay. So then for our next item, the invoices. Oh, the arrows. So let's just do up, down. So let's do up arrow, down arrow in a span. Let's see how it goes. We love a good HTML entity. So we'll do span, up arrow, and down arrow. And then we need to make sure that this is in a group. We'll say div snapshot group. And these numbers are going to be a little different. Okay. So I think we need to add one more container here. So let's zoom out a little bit. So here's our main header. Here's our middle header right here, where we've got this title H2 way over on the far left. Then we have this snapshot group over on the right. And then I think we need another. We have this breadcrumbs, and then we have some more buttons over on the right. This is so fussy. There's so many things happening here. I can tell you now that as soon as we finish this header and navigation, we are immediately going to start styling this. So structurally, it starts to look like something before we do any JavaScript, any transform, any render. We are immediately going to get styles in place for this. And then we will write styles as we're transforming and rendering the UI items. Okay, so we need one more container. I think breadcrumbs count as navigation, so we're going to have 2 nav items, which is totally fine. And then I feel like this over on the right can be what? Settings, support, or add. What would you call these? Okay, so here's our middle header. And then I guess we can just say div lower header. And then we're going to want navigation, nav with the class of breadcrumbs. So we have a home icon. This can be an unordered list. So we'll say UL. And we can call this the breadcrumbs nav. And then this can be an LI with an anchor. And we'll add our little home SVG. This is an aria hidden true. Take out the current color. Oops. And then we'll just say home. And then our next list item is dashboard. And then we will use CSS to put this little slash in. So we'll do that with a CSS pseudo element. Okay. So here's our lower header, here's our nav, and then we have this group now over here on the right. And so we'll call these I don't know, what are these? Settings buttons. We'll call these the settings buttons, the settings group. This is the settings group. And then we're just going to put in 3 buttons. So presumably this is a drop down. This would just be to get support, and this would be to add a new module. I don't know if those are actually going to be wired up to anything. Remains to be seen. So we'll do button, the type of button, and then we'll just say class button. We don't need an ARIA label because it has text. So we need our little settings cog. This is ARIA hidden True. Settings. Oh, we're probably going to want to put this in a span. It'll make styling easier. And then we'll put our chevron. All right. There's our first button. In this group, at least. And then next button is support, and then we have add. So we've got a button, the type of button, class button, and we need our headphones. Aria hidden true. Support. Yeah, this really does need to be in a span. It's going to be so much easier for styling if it is. Okay, final button. Well, we're going to be able to write a little bit of CSS today. Well, no, we're actually not done with the nav yet. We still have to do all the nav. But to get all of the markup done in one day in less than 2 hours, like the structural layout and markup and all these SVGs and buttons in place first, we're doing good. We're doing really good. And then we want our add. So we'll definitely, this weekend, what's today, Thursday? We will definitely be styling this layout this weekend and hopefully getting to some JavaScript. I don't know why we wouldn't. Famous last words. I don't know. I always think that things are going to be a lot easier than they turn out to be. So, story of my life. Okay. So there's our final group. Okay, navigation. So if this is an H2 and if this is an H1, I think that this is an H3. These are all H3s, these titles. So let's just put these in. Why not? For styling. And then in the future, as we build out pages, this can be refined and replaced. But I think for now, let's just get these things in here. So we understand what the structure, and if once we get the structure and the styles in place, it will be incredibly easy to switch these things out and just rename them, add new SVGs, things like that as we build pages. So, and I am going to treat this like this is off canvas. Everything from here down is off canvas because how I'm kind of interpreting this, unless this is really truly the desktop version and that it would just be off canvas for mobile. I mean, there's that too. Yeah, I have no idea how this is going to look on mobile. I have no earthly idea how this is going to look on mobile. Maybe this whole thing needs to be off canvas for mobile. There are no mobile styles for this, so we are left to our own devices. I got no idea. I mean, what are the expectations for a dashboard on mobile? It might be good to, we might have to do some research to see how other dashboards are handling mobile styles. These cards, to me, that's straightforward. It's, you can stack these cards up, right? So I'm not worried about any of these cards, whatever it is that we end up building out. We can hide the navigation off canvas and trigger it with the button, no problem. Yeah, it's going to be fussy, just like everything else, right? And Passion Brains is here and says, I am currently building a mobile dashboard. How's it going? How is it going? We'll have to do a little research. We'll have to check out Pinterest and see, look for some examples of how people are stacking things up for mobile. So, okay, navigation. We can do it. We're in the home stretch. So let's zoom out a little bit. We'll close some of these things. Okay. We have a lot here so far. Okay, navigation. So how do we want to group our nav? I feel like we should do H3 unordered list, H3 unordered list. That's what I'm going to do. So we'll do H3 and we're going to call this the navigation, or let's keep it a little more, nav heading. And Eagleman98 is in the chat and says, oh man, I need to get back to web development. I got distracted with Python. I don't know. I feel like it's a good thing to get distracted with. Okay. I think anytime you get distracted by anything coding related, it's a good distraction. Okay, so main navigation. We'll do an unordered list with the class of, we're just going to call these all main nav. It's going to keep it nice and easy for styling. And we'll do an li, of course, with an anchor element. I'll just put in a hashtag for now. And then we've got an SVG on the left, the text in the middle, and an SVG on the right. So I'm just going to choose the home outline, and this is going to be the icon that we use for everything until I can go in and specifically, until we really nail down what our navigation is and what we want the icons to be. So we're just going to keep it nice and simple for now. So this needs an aria hidden, true. I'm going to take out this current color. And then I'm going to put a span. Whoops. Dashboard. Whoops. And then we need our chevron. Chevron left, right. Chevron right. Chevron forward. Aria hidden, true. And I feel like that we can use that for pretty much everything. So this isn't going to take long. It's going to be a little copy paste. And dashboard layouts skins. And then let's make a copy of this group right here. These might have to be in. I don't really feel like those all need to be in divs. I feel like these can function just like this with a heading, an unordered list, a heading, an unordered list. Right? So what's the next thing? Features. Let's do this. Let's unfold everything. There we go. Look at that. This is just the header and the navigation. Oof. It's a lot. I mean, it might really end up being a good idea to automate a lot of this with JSON, right? But how are we going to do that with the SVGs? I mean, I guess I'm not going to be able to embed the SVGs. How do you embed an SVG if you're not treating it like an image? I don't like doing that because then you have the whole point of an SVG is that it's XML, you can embed it in your markup, and it isn't an extra HTTP request. Do I need to get over that? Do I need to move past this idea that I'm keeping an eye on how many requests to the server I'm making to get assets? Even if they're teeny tiny, I've already accepted that with JavaScript and type module, I should make those things modular components. But to me, the drawback is that I'm making those extra HTTP requests to the server to grab those files, whereas before everything sat in one script.js. But again, I've accepted that I need to move forward with a more modular, modern approach. I do the same thing with SVGs. I'm already making that HTTP request to get the image from the server. Now I have to do it with an SVG too, something that can be embedded in the markup and doesn't need to be retrieved. It just comes with the page. Do I need to get over that? That was such a big deal when I was getting started in web development, especially in WordPress, where WordPress caching solutions were so bad in the beginning, they didn't work. And premium WordPress theme makers were making these huge clunky themes with tons of options and all this PHP to just constantly query that database and return and bring back those options. I mean, it was absolutely insane what was going on with WordPress in the early days. And I know the caching has gotten a lot better, but back in like 2012, 2013, 2014, I mean, well into 2016, 17, 18, caching solutions for WordPress were bad. They just didn't work that well. I don't do WordPress development anymore, so I don't know really what goes on in that world anymore. But that is the reason, one of the many reasons why I left WordPress. I just couldn't stand it. So I've always had this awareness of how often do you query the database? How often are you getting things from the server? How big is your page? How many things are you trying to load on the page? Let me know if you can hear me. OBS crashed again. Sorry about that. I think we're back. Internet is fine. Okay, I think we're okay. Yeah, I can see it behind me. The little green the little green light is on. So, okay. What were we saying though? So Passion Brains is saying dashboards need to be collapsible. Okay, fair. And Passion Brains is also saying, why is this all done without AI? You just need to make exact element refactored and just import later. Does anyone work with WordPress these days? Lots of people work with WordPress these days. It is still very much a thing. Um, so Passion Brains, we love AI on this channel. We have nothing against AI. The whole point of this channel is to practice and to keep our skills fresh with vanilla HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So I definitely use AI, but the whole point of what I'm doing in these streams and on these channels is to be a traditional coder who's practicing and keeping skills fresh. So that's my best answer to why I'm not using AI to do this. So, oh yeah, Osley says I was talking about how I counted every request. My question is this. Do I need to get over that? Is the modern internet, modern browsers, modern devices, have we moved beyond that? How do you all treat that? Are you looking at that? Are you thinking about the number of requests and page load times the way I am? I'm just wondering. Um, yeah, so Passion Brains, I love the questions. Thank you for asking about why I'm not using AI. That is my best answer is that we're just here to practice and keep the skills fresh. We are not in denial about AI or how amazing it is as a tool, but we still like to code by hand. That's what we do. So, anyways, and Passion Brains is saying, would I like to look at the dash that he is building? Um, if you would like to send me the link, full disclosure, I don't click every link. I'll scan it, and sure, if you want to send it to me, my email is down in the description, or you are welcome to send me a DM on Instagram, which is also linked in the description. So Osley says, my guess is no, these days devs in the US don't count requests. I just had it drilled into my brain for such a long time. Count those requests, keep track of them. So, okay, so really the greater question is dealing with the navigation and how I'm going to deal with these SVGs if I put everything into a JSON file and make it a little more dynamic. But for now, we're just going to build it out like this. And then we'll figure it out. Because you still have to have an HTML base anyways. You can't do anything with JavaScript or JSON until you know what your HTML is actually going to be anyways. So it is perfectly fine to start like this. Okay, so here's our main navigation. And then layouts, skin, this is features right here. And then we have pages. And I think this is plenty to get started on styling the navigation pages. And I'm sure we will make that dynamic. Oh, I guess I have another one here. Apps. Whoops. Apps. Wow, would you look at that? Yeah, I don't think we need any more grouping here. I feel like this is plenty, but if we need to add more groups for styling, we definitely can. Okay, so here's what I think we should do next. I think we should maybe just start getting our CSS file ready. We have a few minutes left, maybe 20 minutes left. Let's go ahead and grab normalize. And Osley says, but I'm not a web developer and I don't know why I think that. That's cute. You know, maybe somebody will watch on the replay and let me know. Or maybe I should do a short. Should I record a short for YouTube and see if I can find some developers who want to answer questions? I don't know. When I do that, though, I don't generally get the response I'm hoping for from people. The mean streets of YouTube can be a little snarky sometimes. So, okay, normalize. We'll do a browser reset. And then let's make sure that that is linked. And let's make sure our main style sheet is linked. Yeah, the CSS file in this one's going to be pretty wild, isn't it? That's okay, I can handle it. And I think the font was Open Sans, if I remember from when I had this in Affinity. So let's, no, that's not what I wanted. Fonts, there we go. This is not in the right order. Oh, and these should come after. And then we'll link our script. What else? Let's figure out our color palette and color contrast. So we'll do color contrast checker. And let's put these side by side. It'll make it a little easier. Okay. So let's just color pick some of these things. Questioning if this is going to be accessible. So these might have to be white. The icons, and I mean, I feel like the arrows are gonna kind of need to be white too. I don't think the icons are decorative, so I'm not worried about that. Let's just color pick some of these first. And then, so if that's our background, so with the white text, we have plenty of contrast. So we'll grab this. And we'll just start defining some of our colors. And then we'll do white, black, and then we'll do a gray. And then we'll do a light gray. These are just colors that I like to use. So I feel like there's also a light navy here. which is this. Also accessible, so that's good. And then let's put this in the background. And then let's color pick this. So it passes for large text. So let's see if we can adjust this so we can at least get the AA standard for normal text. So I think that we can slide this there, and we still have a nice baby blue, but now we're at least meeting the contrast for a UI element and AA text. So we can use this baby blue for, I mean, we're going to use the baby blue for all of it. I've just decided that we're going to use the baby blue for all of it. So beautiful. So we'll call this baby blue. I love it. Okay, so this is going to be our red, and there's really two, whoops. There's two colors, right? There's an inner and an outer. So we'll get both. We'll get red and light red, and then we'll get green and light green. So let's change this back to white. And we'll grab our red. And that does not meet contrast, but does it need to? I mean, I feel like it does because it has a number inside of it. So we're just going to adjust our colors to make sure that they are meeting. Yeah. So this is going to be our red color. And then we'll do a light red. And honestly, I think the light red can be anything. I don't think it matters. So it'll be, we'll just call it pink. All right. Now we want our green. Also does not meet color contrast, so we will adjust it till we at least hit that AA. Right there. So here's our green. And then we'll do like a mint. We'll do a light green. And we'll just grab that outer color. I love it. Fab. My favorite color fact. Fab is pink. Okay. What else do we need here? Let's grab this yellow color. That gets used quite a bit, so we'll definitely want to make sure that we have an accessible version of the yellow. There's lots of places here where we're going to use the light and the dark green, the light and the dark blue. So this is good that we're grabbing these. Yellow is very difficult when it comes to accessibility. And really, this should be, well, let's see. Let's see if we, it's really hard. It's like brown to make that accessible. And this is like 10 years old, these designs, pretty old. I mean, although 10 years ago we were definitely talking about accessibility, but I don't know if we're going to be able to make a yellow work. Maybe we could try and do more of an orange. It's really difficult. It just ends up looking brown. Here's kind of like a rusty. I like that. That's like a perfect. Should we do this instead? I like that. It's kind of like a pumpkin-y rusty color. So I'm just going to say rust. One moment. And then let's find like a light orange or maybe kind of like a salmony color just as an accent. It doesn't need to be, um, it just needs to be something for like a border or something, right? Here's kind of our like light pumpkin color. Let's call this pumpkin. I like it. This is a really good palette. So we have our fonts figured out. We have our color contrast figured out. We have our markup done. We'll worry about actually building out some of these UI elements once we get to that actual JavaScript. I think this is pretty good for now. Let's commit this and at least get this up to GitHub. I think we need to do a git ignore for that. I'm going to have to clear my cache for that. Okay. Layout, markup, styles. Wow, this is a really good start. This is a really good start. Okay, I need to make sure that this folder doesn't get tracked. I think I have to like clear the cache. I don't remember how to do that. Git remove and clear cache. One folder. To remove a folder from Git tracking while keeping it in your local directory, run the recursive remove command in your terminal. We want screenshots / PSD. Then what? Remove folder from tracking. Okay. And I think I have to close this and reopen it. There, now it's not being tracked. Good old Git. Let's make sure it's not. There we go. Perfect. Google to the rescue. Well, we had a very productive day today. Let's see here. Here we go. What do we think? I'm excited about this one. So this weekend, we're just going to be styling, and maybe we'll get to a little JavaScript, we'll see, but we're going to be doing a lot of styling to get this layout locked in and in place. And then we'll definitely do some JavaScript to get some elements rendering, to do some like transform and render. We will also, in the next week or two, have another deployment day where we will set up the URL ui-snacks.com is the URL. So we'll have our deployment all set up and ready to go. Then we'll probably switch to another project for a couple of weeks. We'll come back and we'll just keep going back and forth and building out elements and building pages. I think this is going to be a really fun thing to work on throughout the rest of the year. And by the end of 2026, we'll have a really nice little project. I don't know. I think it sounds fun. So, and so Oslo is saying git added it right back again unless it was git ignored. It was git ignored. You can also do a global git ignore for things like DS store. That's actually a good idea because that's kind of a pain in the ass, even though it does nothing and it impacts nothing. So you don't have to remember to do it. on every individual projects get ignored. So Caffeine Cowboy says, I've noticed that you seem to stick with hex colors rather than HSB or one of the newer color spaces, just a habit or a preference. Habit. Just a habit. But I can look into that. I don't know anything about HSB. Is there a reason for me to not use hex colors anymore? It's definitely a habit. So, so I think let's look at this. So for here, like if I'm declaring variables, is there a reason why I should not use hex values? Especially when I'm coming over here and choosing colors, which I do a lot on the color contrast checker. I don't even have an option for anything other than hex values. So I know we could switch these. HSL, HWB, lab. Is there a reason why I should be doing this? I'm just curious. Easy to create new colors or transparency on the fly. Okay, I'll see. Maybe that's a good video idea that I can ask ChatGPT to educate me on that and teach me how to do it. Honestly, just haven't gone down that road before. So, I stick with hex colors because they are easy to define, especially with the color contrast checker. I have no other options here, right? So I would have to convert it to hex in order to use this tool. And I really like this tool. There are probably lots of other tools that we could use. So yeah, I guess I'll look into it. How about that? I'll look into it. I like anything that makes my life easier for sure. So, all right. Let's see here. Okay, so Osley says git config global core excludes files. Okay, I will make a note of this, Osley, and I will probably do that. I will make a note of this. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about this for now. So, I think we had a great day. We got a lot of stuff done. Do me a favor, if you haven't yet, would you be so kind as to like this video? Helps the algorithm, helps get this pushed out to more people who might be interested in this type of content. I'm here 4 days a week, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. We just practice HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. That's it. We're just practicing. We're just having a good time. So thank you to everybody who came to hang out in the chat. Osloy, Caffeine Cowboy, let me see here. Passion Brains was here. Eagle Man was here. Bad Wiry. I'm not sure how to pronounce that username. Thank you for being here. We had a lot of great conversation in the chat. Loki was here. Malik Robinson was also here. He was our mod in the chat. I hope I didn't miss anybody. I'm checking to see if I did. Andrew was here. Oh, hello, Andrew. I'm so sorry I missed you. Andrew emailed me. I emailed you back. It went into my spam folder. Andrew is somebody who I think found me about maybe a week or 10 days ago on a video I made about kind of feeling behind and has left me some amazing, thoughtful comments. Prevenair is here. Hello. There are some earlier chats that I missed, so I apologize for that if I missed some of the earlier chats. Noah was also here. The chat was moving fast today. Our chat has not been this busy in a very long time. So I think I got a lot of people though. Oh, and Monique Robinson was also here. Welcome, Monique. Thank you for hanging out. Okay, everybody come back this weekend and we will start writing some CSS. I think it's going to be really fun. Have a great rest of your day wherever you are, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.